Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very good day to you. Welcome to Life Matters. And in this parenting edition of Life Matters, dedicated to education, spirituality, and community development, today we have the honor of hosting two remarkable individuals who are at the forefront of fostering Islamic principles within education. Joining us are Maulana Khalil Hendricks, Director of Mizan Institute and founder of GoodTree Quranic School, as well as Mualima Radia, Bawa, founder and director of Zahra Institute and co-founder of GoodTree Quranic School. With their extensive backgrounds in Islamic studies and education, they are truly instrumental in nurturing the Quran and Sunnah in the daily operations of their respective institutions. So let's delve deeper into their journey and insights on blending traditional Islamic teachings and modern education as we profile the GoodTree Quranic School. Don't forget to interact with us. We have our WhatsApp line and social media pages as well available. We love to hear from you. Always love how you comment, question, and query what's happening on the show. So we love how you interact with us. So let's now welcome on air our guest. Assalamu alaikum to you, Maulana Khalil and Mualima Radia.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah for your time, and we're really excited to introduce to our viewers GoodTree Islamic Quranic School. Tell us a bit about yourselves and the establishment of GoodTree Quranic School, the background story of the name of the school, GoodTree, and what inspired you to establish an educational institution that emphasizes Islamic teachings alongside conventional education.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, Alhamdulillah, we both have a background in adult education and specifically within teaching the adult market, the meanings of the Quran, and just to establish a well-grounded Muslim or Muslima in today's age, really.
Mm-hmm.
And that had always been our focus for many, many years, Alhamdulillah. And I think that things had shifted when we obviously had our own kids, because then other questions came up and other challenges presented itself as well. And it was really in this time that we had thought along the lines of, I don't think we actually thought of starting an establishment per se, but we thought of starting something different for our own kids. And we were specifically looking for something wherein a parent feels that there's no compromise in any aspect of the holistic development of a child, really. Wherein a child can excel academically, a child can excel with ihsan, with their self-purification, with their character, with their adab. And as well as in the social realm as well, just to have beautiful bonds and to basically nurture a very well-rounded child who can survive and be robust in this day and age, and at the same time not compromise their Islamic identity. And what had happened actually was that we visited Tarim in 2018. And what was really beautiful about Tarim, one of the things that really struck us was the fact that you were looking at children as young as perhaps 12 or 13 years old. And these children, being so grounded Islamically, I mean, they had a full Islamic syllabus that they had engaged in addition to the normal things that one would learn at school. And just looking at this, plus the beautiful character and the adab that these children had at such a young age, it really did spark something. And it made us think that, why are we expecting our children to only fulfill a certain amount of things at a certain age? And this visit to Tarim really inspired the formation and the beginnings of GoodTree, Alhamdulillah. So the next year, in fact, 2019, we had started with GoodTree, and it was very, very small. It was just those who were closest to us from our own circles at Zahra and Mizan. And this group of parents had embarked on this journey with us, subhanAllah. And I don't think any of us at that point really knew where the journey would end or where the destination would be. But we did all have a similar goal in mind, which was just to try this different approach, which could marry all of these aspects of the development of a child. So in 2019, GoodTree started, alhamdulillah, at our home, just in a little classroom that we had set up attached to our home. And the name really was inspired by a verse in Surah Ibrahim. And it had always been one of my favorite verses. I have many favorites, but one of them is where Allah Ta'ala speaks about this beautiful tree. Well, it speaks about the good word and likens this good word to a good tree. And this kalima tayyiba, the goodly word, as it would be, is referring to the word of iman, the word of faith, that word which breathes into us our very core of our relationship to Allah Ta'ala. And the verse likens this goodly word to a good, beautiful tree. And the verse expounds on it and says that if the roots of the tree are firm, then obviously the branches and the blossoms of this tree would be soaring into the sky. It would reach the greatest heights. And this is really what tarbiyah is. It is that if the roots are firm and if the person feels firmly rooted, firmly grounded within something beautiful and something that can hold them, then obviously there's no limit to what that individual can achieve. So I think it happened organically where we liked this verse and then we looked for some elements that could be latched onto this verse. And then the word good tree came about, shajara tayyiba in Arabic and good tree in English. So alhamdulillah, that's just the story of the name. And I feel to me, when I say the name, sometimes it really does remind one of that vision of this tree. And that's actually what we're trying to form and develop within these young hearts and minds.
I just happened to be in Cape Town last week and popped in at the school. I think drove past. And the school is surrounded by beautiful good trees. So, mashallah, what a leafy suburb you guys have chosen. So, apt to the name as well. Maulana, can you tell us about the philosophy, founding principles, and vision behind GoodTree Quranic School and how it incorporates these principles of the Quran and Sunnah into the daily curriculum?
Okay, so alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum again to all the viewers. I think also just to give context, myself and Radia have both been to university, and I also spent a number of years in the corporate world before embarking on Islamic studies. And in a sense, I've kind of seen both worlds. I've seen the university corporate world experience, and I've also been fully immersed in the Islamic studies and Islamic teaching environment. And when one experiences both, one definitely tries to find a single identity throughout, meaning what? That Islam is present and Islam is lived in every moment through every experience. And there's no separation really between one's Islam and one's life. And I think that has carried through into the GoodTree ethos, where in a sense, everything is Islam. There isn't the sense where they are like, let's call it, people say it's secular. They are secular subjects. For us, there are no such thing as secular subjects. Everything is Islam. So from the way you greet is Islam, from the way you sit and you conduct yourself in class is Islam, from the way that you are astounded and awed by the ayat of Allah Ta'ala in your science lesson. That is part of your Islam. From the way you express yourself in your English lesson and the way you write, that's part of your Islam. So I think one of the features of GoodTree is that there is no separation, there is no divide between that which is, let's call it Islamic and not Islamic, and not even in the students. The students don't even experience that. So I think underlying the philosophy of GoodTree is that it is a lived experience of what Islam actually is. It's not merely a fiqh period or a Quran period or an Arabic period. It's a lived experience from the moment the learner walks into the school until they leave, that they are immersed in an environment which is, let's call it like a Medina. You want them to experience a Medina. You walk in and there's a buzz and there is beautiful character and there are warm smiles and there are du'as, and I think this is going to be underlying the ethos, and as a result, what we've consciously planned and what we've consciously done is that every teacher at GoodTree, whether they be the Arabic teacher or whether they be the maths teacher or the English teacher, every teacher must have either done some course and some journey of Islamic studies, or they must be on that journey, so that the Islamic principles resonate throughout the school. And I think also sometimes people have different conceptions of what Islam is. Some people may focus on Islam as only a set of beliefs, or some people might focus on Islam as only a set of actions, or some people might focus on Islam only as a set of feelings. And I think we, as much as possible, we try to really present a holistic experience and teaching of Islam that encompasses all of the diverse aspects, so it makes sense to the learner. It feels like a whole to the learner. And I think this is going to be the core of the experience that we manifest through different subjects, through different experiences at the school.
So when we say Islam is a way of life, GoodTree Quranic School is really portraying that. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. We're going to take a quick break, Maulana and Mualima Radia, just to give you a bit of a breather and to come back with more and keep our listeners in tune with what's next and more about GoodTree Quranic School, what sets them apart rather from other educational institutions, and also allowing, the balance of the craziness of the world, what's happening around us, but more just after the short break. Stay with us. GoodTree Quranic School, based out in the leafy suburbs of Wynberg, Cape Town, Western Cape. I know there's a Wynberg out here in Johannesburg as well. So welcome to Life Matters as we expound in our parenting edition, profiling GoodTree Quranic School in Cape Town. And online we have Maulana Khalil and Mualima Radia. So just before the break, really they expounded on Islam being a true way of life in the school, using that in its essence. Mualima, what sets GoodTree Quranic School apart from other educational institutions in terms of teaching philosophy and the approach? And and we know that there's many Islamic schools based in Cape Town, and also to look at some of the unique challenges and rewards of running a school with a focus on Islamic ethos.
So I think firstly, in terms of if we were to maybe start with just character development, for example. For example, GoodTree, the education doesn't just happen in the classroom, but we also take all of the moments as teaching moments. So whether a child is walking through the hallway, whether they are eating, whether it's their break time, we actually try to maintain a positive social culture and a positive level of adab throughout all of those little interactions. So, I mean, it's small things, and the culmination of the small things obviously make up who the child is and the identity. And I think that these moments, to me as a parent, firstly, I mean, these are the important moments wherein the child actually learns how to be a person and how to be a person in the mold of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have a very, very active way of monitoring the social culture. The teachers try to befriend the students to just understand what is going on in their minds, in their hearts, that even in break time, for example, a teacher would be actively present, trying to survey the situation, trying to assist in those little scuffles and squabbles that are part and parcel of growing up and navigating a space, when peers are together. So the social space in itself is very, very different in the sense that we try to monitor all of the moments of the child in order to just support them through the various things that come up on a day-to-day basis. And I think to me that is a very important aspect, because oftentimes we find that certain things are occurring in a lesson, but it's the teachable moments outside of the lesson that also deeply impact the child and the development of the child. And then with regards to our syllabus development, I mean, we really feel that children should love learning. Children should thrive within a learning environment. School shouldn't be viewed as this thing that you do grudgingly, and it takes lots of effort to just get to school daily. And we've had to remove all of those. I think it was more of a process of unlearning for the children. So to sort of just remove all of those barriers that they face, those obstacles that they face when they view the term school or they view a school environment. And I think that an important part in that is basically how we have set up the various phases to cater to the different needs of the child at those particular times. So I think that what we've found to sort of be the system that is currently working beautifully, mashallah, is that from age 3 to 6, we follow largely a Montessori-based curriculum. So it's very tactile. Children are exposed to just hands-on practical ways of learning. And this is what the child needs at this stage. We know from 1 to 7, we should play with our kids. And the environment it caters to that. And there's lots of freedom in the environment, freedom of expression and such. And from that, they basically then go into the elementary section of the school, which is from grade 1 to 7. And in this, again, there's a very, very large focus on the prophetic themes. So the whole curriculum for a certain year is guided and it is molded by a prophetic personality. And all of the subjects would link from that. So your biology, your science, your history, your geography, your language, they would all be based within a certain prophetic theme so that the child sees one unified message across all of the subjects. This obviously takes place alongside your Arabic, your, call it our Islamic studies periods, and your physical development. And in this time, the learners navigating, coming to terms with that independence that is required of them in these grades or in these phases, but at the same time to also nurture that fun-loving, nature that children just generally have. And then from that, we have a newly established program for about 2 years now, alhamdulillah, called the Suhba division of the school. And it really does aim to build companionship, which is grounded within the Islamic sciences. So this is where the child of 12 years old, 13 years old is exposed to a full Islamic studies curriculum, similar to the ones that we do at Zahra, at Mizan, even at Darul Na'im. It's your Nahu, your Sarf, your Hadith study, your Fiqh, but aimed the purpose of them being able to hold themselves in a modern world, being able to navigate these discussions, these contemporary discourses, the narratives that occupy the minds of the young people, in this stage. And alhamdulillah, we found that in that period, there's a lot of space for debate, there's a lot of space for discussion, just to hold that development of the child's mind and to have that alongside a trusted teacher. And we found that in the segmenting of the phases at GoodTree, each phase caters to a different developmental need at that time. So when the learner is ready for this level of abstract learning, they would merge into the grade 10 stream, which would then be sort of like a program which gears at aiming them for matric, because we do want our learners to also embark on tertiary studies and to be successful in all aspects of life. So I do feel that the phases and the different focus areas in the different phases is a very important part of the school. And we see that we need to change the strategy at the different times just to cater to the learners' reading needs at those times.
MashaAllah, so it sounds like it's based from Montessori up until high school. I want to look at, Maulana, the balance between, we know academic excellence is always something that parents want to see within their child when going to school. But let's talk about the balance between creating that academic excellence and spiritual growth within the school's framework, and also sort of creating a nurturing and supportive environment for students. We've heard that, alhamdulillah, you use lots of Quran and Sunnah, as well as maintaining that academic rigor. So how do you ensure that the values of compassion, tolerance, and integrity are integrated into the school's ethos and teachings? Basically, how do you navigate the balance between traditional Islamic education and the contemporary educational approaches? As you said, you marry the two, but also focusing on that academic excellence that parents do want to see sometimes.
Yes, of course. And I think that is also the objective of the school, is not to create that dichotomy or that split where you have to choose between the two. Because I think many people find themselves like, I'm going to send my child to an Islamic school or Hifz school, and then, the academics are going to suffer. Or I'm going to send a private school, a Model C school, but then the Islamic science are going to suffer. And I think that we are working hard to remove that trade-off so that it's in one space. And we also believe, like, passionately, that Muslims should excel in every field. And there is absolutely no reason why an Islamic school, and mashallah, we do have some very good Islamic schools who are achieving well, but there's no reason an Islamic school should not excel in both spheres, both in terms of the holistic development and also in the actual academic development of the student. So I think that in terms of how we approach that, I think just for some more specifics, is that in our primary school phase, we have opted for the Cambridge Maths curriculum, and that is carried out the Cambridge throughout the primary school phase. And then for English, we've actually embarked on a customized literacy program, meaning what our English is very strongly focused on creating a reader and creating a student who loves to read, who is able to comprehend, who is able to engage with ideas, who is able to express themselves. So I think that the ability to navigate language and to enjoy language. In fact, the other day I was giving our teachers a target I was mentioning that a GoodTree child, when they reach grade 9, should have read 200 books. That should be the objective, because reading is part of our faith. Reading has always been part of our legacy. And whether one is reading about a specific Islamic science, or whether you're reading a novel about the refugees in Syria, whether you're reading a historical account, reading is education. So definitely within the English department, we focus largely on reading. Alhamdulillah, we also just established our library this year. We're growing our library, alhamdulillah, because we're also trying to create a safe space for learners to access literature. Because we know in our time now, you have to be very careful about what literature even that you provide your learners. So we are looking at creating a safe space and also a diverse space, meaning what? That learners should also see novels from Africa, novels from the Middle East. Because sometimes when you go to the normal CAP syllabus, it's not always diverse. You don't always see a person that is familiar to you in the novel as well. So I think in our primary school phase, there's a strong focus on getting the maths solid with the Cambridge curriculum, and getting language solid. And then our sciences we do through a lot of experiential learning, meaning we want the learners to be awed by Allah's creation and awed by experience. So in the primary school phase, it's very experiential. They do experiments, they bake, they do excursions, and that is the science program. And then as we move up to what you call the suhbah phase, which is the grade 8 and 9 phase, alongside the Islamic studies, and we're doing fiqh and aqidah and hadith and all the Islamic sciences, we are still continuing with the core academics. So we are still doing English and Afrikaans and maths and science. So the learner maintains the core academics, but the stronger focus is on Islamic studies in that period. And then finally, when we come to 10, 11, 12, we actually move on to a full CAPS academic program, as would be typical in other schools. However, we have approached it very differently. And it's actually our first year, we're doing grade 10. So what we have done is we have loaded all the learning material for grade 10 onto a learning management system. And each learner is then issued with a laptop. And they are then taught how to learn and how to navigate learning on their own, supported by a teacher in the class. Because what we want them to do is we want them to take ownership of their learning journey. So a learner would sign up for a subject, for example, business or natural science, and then they would have the entire syllabus on a learning management system. They would have their own laptop, but they would also have a teacher guiding them through the process. But the onus and the responsibility is on the learner to take responsibility for their subject, because learners learn at different paces and at different styles. So I think that we are excited about this. It's a new program, the grade 10, 11, 12 program, but we believe that this is going to be the best way to academically prepare students, both for school and for university and for life.
Definitely moving with the times.
Because they're also the adults. I mean, they're by 15, 16, you're actually an adult, and you have to do that responsibility. So in this way, we maintain the focus on the academics, and we look forward, inshallah, in 2 years' time, we'll have our first group of matrics. And so we are excited, inshallah, because then we have a system from 3 years old until matric. Inshallah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So definitely moving with the times, incorporating online and using the use of laptops as well at GoodTree Quranic School. But we talk about the parents' involvement, the wider community, what roles do they play, and also inclusivity just after the short break. Stay with us. GoodTree Quranic School, based out in the leafy suburbs of Wynberg in the Western Cape, Cape Town, is online with us. The founders, Mualima, Radia, Bawa, as well as Maulana Khalil, Hendricks. And they've established this beautiful educational base that balances Quran and Sunnah with academics. In fact, they marry the two. So, Mualima, if I could just get back to you and discuss the role of parents and possibly even the wider community. What role do they play in the life of the school?
Bismillah. So parents, mashallah, of course, when one signs up at GoodTree, you need to sign up for the journey. And GoodTree is that it's not just a school. You're actually signing up for a complete journey, and the entire family has to be 100% bought into the ethos and to the philosophy of the school. Because in a sense we are actually swimming upstream in the day and age that we are in now. There are so many challenges facing learners from all types of directions, and if we do not speak the same language at school and in the home environment, it obviously creates catastrophic divisions in the child's mind. It creates certain challenges and clashes that should not be there. So we expect from our parents to fully buy into our ethos, and we have certain elements which we even advise or even require for the home environment as well, and a certain journey that the family should be on too. And I'll give you some examples. For example, we are quite strict about technology exposure. Okay. So yes, we really put technology in the sense that we know that a child would have to embark on that, on that learning or in that field or in that world in order to be successful in today's world. But at the same time, we feel that exposure, which is harmful, exposure to entertainment, which is the norm of the day, we are very opposed to that, because we feel that it actually stunts their development, it stunts their creativity. It just impacts a child negatively in so many ways. And then obviously you have all of the forces of the modern world also impacting the child's mind in the sense of the way that they think, the way that they dress, the way that they interact with the opposite gender. All of these things are molded, through all of these little things that they watch in the cartoons that are so normal in today's age. So we have something called the technology policy, and we require for all of our parents to be fully bought into that way of life. And it is tough, of course, but we actually require that the child is not exposed to any form of entertainment and screen time during the week. So we've changed our policy to amend that to be 0 screen time for entertainment during the week. And on the weekend, obviously, a little bit of leeway is allowed. And we find that this is one of the most important ways to maintain that pure fitra of the space that the children are absorbed in daily. Because if we are having conversations, about things that are happening, pop culture or in the media, these things infiltrate into the social culture at the school. So we require for our parents to be very serious with regards to certain principles, and this is one of them. And other things that we require from our parents is that they are just brought into some form of an Islamic journey, that they are growing, that they are developing, that they are also studying Quran alongside their kids, and that the family together is moving in a certain direction, even though this direction is definitely, moving away from the status quo or the general trends that we see happening in our society. So we require from our parents to be very serious about that and to respect that part of the vision. Otherwise, we find that it's really just, we're swimming upstream, and if the parents don't swim with us upstream, we actually can't contend with the forces out there. So we our parents, and I think that alhamdulillah, we are very pleased with the bunch of parents that Allah Ta'ala has blessed us with in our infancy, because these parents have worked with us, they've trusted us, alhamdulillah, with their beautiful learners. And together we've also forged a new identity for ourselves. And I feel that that's something important that parents need to be aware of when they do buy into the GoodTree journey, so to say.
Maulana Khalil, let's look at the diversity and inclusivity. We know Cape Town is rainbowed with beautiful cultures. Let's look at this addressing diversity and inclusivity within the framework of Islamic teachings and still respecting our culture.
Yes. So I think particularly in Cape Town, there is a very distinct and unique Islamic culture and Islamic history as well. And I think that GoodTree upholds that and promotes that, because that is part of the Cape Town identity and the greater South African Muslim identity. And at the same time, we find that there are enormous social changes within the environment. And many of those changes would be quite incompatible with Islam. And so our approach is one where we have an approach where we believe that for us to function in a healthy way in society, there should be integration, but not assimilation. And the difference is with integration is that you are rooted in your own Islamic identity, your Islamic practices, your Islamic ethos and models, and that never gets compromised. But there's integration, meaning what? You are comfortable to work with anybody and everybody, whether it's at your university or whether it's at the workplace or whether it's at an NGO for a common good cause. And I think that is what we're trying to also steer the learners, meaning what, that you are accountable for your journey, but at the same time you have to develop respect that there are people on different journeys, and we have to learn to interact in a healthy way, and not in an overly judgmental way. And in the end, this is also a personal journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's the approach to dealing with diversity. And at the same time, also, we do also educate the learners about the diversity, meaning what, that we go back and we look at the history of the world. We look at what happened with colonialism, and we look at what happened with modernism and postmodernism, and where does feminism come from? Where does LGBTQ come from?
Okay.
What are the underlying principles? How do we navigate this as Muslims? So I think we also tackle these topics head on in our grade 8 and 9 phase, where we actually discuss each one of these topics, and we do it from an Islamic perspective, meaning what us as Muslims, what is our position, and then also how do we navigate the different positions as well in a respectable and in a healthy way that doesn't cause divisions within society, but doesn't also cause compromise of one's own positions. And I think this is not needed only for young learners. I think even adults sometimes struggle to navigate this diversity. But alhamdulillah, we have many scholars at the school as well. And many of our young scholars, we all, Malata Karan, rahimallah, his students. And I think one of the hallmarks of Malata, rahimallah, was that he was always concerned about how to extend and how to live Islam in a modern context. And I think that as part of our training, this is grounded within us. So we are not going to become isolationists. We're not going to become separatism. We don't become, separatists. We are part of society. This is our society. This is our country. We participate in it. At the same time, we always maintain our Islamic identity. And doing that, I think we have a very healthy balance that was passed down from our teachers. And we now, as teachers, pass it to our own students. And I think there are answers. And I think for the greater public, Islam has the answers for everything, really. And I think one has to seek it from those that you have faith in, and you'll find those answers. And that's also the ethos in the class, where the learners, you can ask any question. This is a safe space to ask anything, to question anything, because you have to be convinced. Because in the end, when you become an adult, you actually have to choose Islam for yourself. It's not something which it's a culture. It's something which is actually a choice. And when you make a choice, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
And so our job as part of educators is to make sense of the world, make sense of themselves, and make sense of Islam. And I think this is how we deal with integration and diversity at school.
MashaAllah, it sounds like GoodTree is definitely moving with the current times, because when we were younger and we asked a question, we couldn't always ask every question, and there wasn't always an answer. And kennis and niyat. So alhamdulillah, in today's day and age, GoodTree creates that space. Mualima Radia, take us through a normal day at GoodTree Quranic School. As we know, COVID also changed things a bit. How did the school possibly learn from those times as well?
Alhamdulillah, we learned how to go online fully in those times. And we also learned that we're very grateful that we are now once again fully in person. Alhamdulillah. And we did also see that, of course, such a big shift had caused lots of anxiety within the kids, and just certain challenges with regards to coming back into a world again that was very different from the world pre-COVID. But alhamdulillah, what we have now, a typical day, if I could go through that, would basically be that we start every day with something called our morning circle. So it is a circle the learners sit in, and what we do there is we ground them with our theme for the week or for the month. And the themes are preset, but at the same time, they are also responsive to current matters. So, for example, when this entire, subhanAllah, this very difficult situation with Palestine came into being, this was a very large part of our conversations within the morning circle space. So just a time to ground them, a time for them to ask these questions, a time to just ground their heart for the day and their mind for the day. So the day starts off with that across all grades. And they obviously all have different focus areas across the grades. We then have snack time very early in the morning. We are very, very big on healthy nutrition. So we want our kids to eat well and to be able to grow beautifully, drink water. All of these things are such abnormalities in today's world. So that snack time quite early in the morning. And we try to make sure that they have a nutritious breakfast as well, just to teach them that all the parts of ourselves are important in terms of developing holistically and to follow the Sunnah. After that, they would have the period structure would basically be roughly a 45-minute period. They would have 2 of those periods. And within every lesson, the lessons all start in the same manner. So every teacher will come in and recite certain du'as. They'll start off with a little nasiha just to ground the learners. And throughout the lesson as well, there are weaving elements to the lesson. So learners aren't just sitting at a desk for the entire duration of the lesson. There's a part where they sit together, there's group work, sometimes they go outside as well. So that activity and that diversity is brought into the day through that. They have a break time of about 40 minutes long. They play various things in the playground. And we then have another 2 periods, and then they have their Dhuhr program. And Dhuhr time is also a special time because through the wudu and just in learning how to take wudu properly and how to sit before the salah, that in itself is also a class. And we take it as that. You know, they do a dhikr. Sometimes we'd have a muraqabah Monday, for example, where they just sit quietly and reflect for a few minutes. Sometimes it's story time, but the Dhuhr program is considered to be a period of the day. It's not just the Dhuhr period. It's actually a class in itself. We have Dhuhr time, and then after Dhuhr, we have either physical education or karate, or training or MMA for the boys, various physical pursuits as well, just to strengthen their bodies so that can support their mind better. And the day then ends roughly at about 2:45 and 3:15 for the higher grades. So that's a typical day at GoodTree. And on a Friday morning, once a week, we have our full school assembly. So we have a beautiful dhikr for 1 hour. And I think of the most memorable moments at GoodTree, it is when one can just sit there and watch the learners fully immersed and fully absorbed, just enjoying, soaking up that beautiful dhikr. And to me, this is one of our favorite moments at the school. I think learners and staff alike. And that takes place every Friday. Alhamdulillah.
I want to go back to school and I want to go back to GoodTree Quranic School. Shukran so much for that. We're going to take a short break and continue the profile in our last segment of GoodTree Quranic School. Stay with us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Life Matters as we wrap up profiling GoodTree Quranic School based out in the Western Cape, in Cape Town, the leafy suburb of Wynberg, mashallah. We have online the founders, Maulana Khalil, Hendricks, as well as Mualima Radia, Bawa. And they break the school down from Montessori, ages 3 to 6 years, elementary, grades 1 to 6, and Suhbah program, which is the high school, and they start from grade 7 and to matric, but currently have grades 10 at the moment. And of course, we will leave the contact details, their website, on our pages as well, so you can connect with them. And don't forget to interact with us on WhatsApp and our social media pages. So, Maulana, if I could start with you, can you discuss any partnerships or collaborations that have maybe enriched the educational experience at the school? And how does GoodTree Quranic School engage with the local community to promote the Islamic values? We know that it's quite staunch out in the Cape, and also contribute to the community development.
Yes. So I think that a big part of GoodTree is actually the idea of rebuilding community. I think that we come from tight-knit communities, and I think post-apartheid communities have basically retreated into their shells and behind high walls, and there's less community feel. And so I think there's definitely the ethos and the spirit of recreating community. And I think for us, obviously a very natural partner to us is going to be Mizan Institute and Zahra Institute. And I think that what we try to do is we try to create a space where the parents of the learners and even the extended family of the learners can integrate. So we have many joint programs between those institutes and others as well that we engage with. And so we have basically it's called like community dhikrs once a month, where the entire public, the GoodTree kids and the parents and the grandparents and the extended family can all come together, remember Allah Ta'ala, and there's a little bit of like a market afterwards where people can buy a few things, and the community can connect. And then all our events at Mizan, whether it's our Etikaf program or our camp programs, or Mualima Radia at Zahra Institute, where they have their open programs, we do encourage the entire family to join. So the parents meet each other, they meet the teachers, and we rebuild the community feel. And I think in the process of doing this, we really seeing good results, alhamdulillah, because we have to move forward as a unit, alhamdulillah. We've also had some partnership with other NGOs like Ikamba, we did last year. They were our robotics partner last year. Alhamdulillah, our girls came second in the competition in robotics. They did well, alhamdulillah. I think it was the year before last year. So I think it's a process of developing and growing partners, alhamdulillah. And also we have some corporate partners that do assist us from time to time when we need help as well. And I think the school also also does a little bit of outreach. We visit like the old age homes around here. We do a bit of feeding as well, just to teach the learners the spirit of khidmah, the spirit of service as well. And I think the final partnership is that we do try to connect our learners to the local scholarly community, meaning what we invite ulama from the community to our school to address them, to join the dhikr, so they can also be integrated, because we want the young learners to know who the ulama are and the ulama to know the young learners, because these are going to become important relationships going forward. And so those have been some of our partners that we've engaged with over the last 3 or 4 years.
And Mualima Radia, in what ways do you see the school's impact extending beyond its immediate community, as Maulana Khalil just mentioned, but rather benefiting society as a large and possibly globally? How do you prepare your learners for that? And then maybe, Maulana, you can elaborate on some of the future plans or initiatives that GoodTree has for the school and continue fulfilling its vision and mission.
So I think like the idea of being extraordinary, we often have this idea in mind that we want our children to become extraordinary. But what does this actually mean? And I think that one of the larger goals of GoodTree is that we are preparing a child for life, really. And when we say to prepare a child to be extraordinary, to me, if a child is well grounded in the Islamic identity, if they love reciting Quran daily, if they can fulfill their 5 salahs every day, if they can maintain the Islamic identity in the world that we are in, and if they can lead families with those very same principles, and if they can become excellent in the careers that they have chosen and serve the community in some small way, I think this is extraordinary in our day and age. And this is really the hopes and the vision that we have for our kids, is that they are going to go out there and to do amazing things, but also not amazing in the sense that they have to take over the world or, start different initiatives, but just to be yourself grounded Islamically and to do the things that you are doing with excellence. That is beautiful, mashallah. So this is our goals for them. And we hope through that it will heal the community, household by household, one family at a time, and that the heads of the households of the future will become people who are completely immersed within the Islamic and the prophetic identity, inshallah. And through that, the ripple effects will, of course, spread throughout society, throughout the Cape, throughout the larger South Africa, inshallah. So we all have to work together, one individual at a time, and that impact will surely be felt across many spheres. So I think that is one of our main goals, is just to prepare them for life, to prepare them to unlock the benefits and the jewels of their own temperament, and to take that forward, whichever manner that they are going to, with that excellence and with that prophetic conduct.
Maulana, future plans for the school, any initiatives that the school still wish to continue? And let's look at the school continually growing as well. Any fundraising requests?
Yes. So I think what we've seen a great demand for space at the school. Every year we turn away in excess of 100 people, simply because there just isn't any space left. We're currently in two large houses. And we have about 230 learners. And I think that we are literally bursting at the seams now. So I think that the next step is really that we do need to expand to a new campus and a bigger campus. And I think the ideal thing would be to get one large campus and have integrated programs across the grades and across the offerings. So I think that is going to be the next step. It is quite challenging. I think the funding environment, especially in Cape Town, is quite constrained. The economy is not doing great, and it is hard to raise those funds. So it is a challenge at the moment. And I think that if people would like to get engaged and like to contact us, the vision is really to expand the school in a sense that build the model from 3 years old until matric, develop the model in best practice. And once the model is into a best practice, then it becomes something which you can replicate in centers throughout South Africa and throughout the world. Because we as Muslims have to take ownership of our own education spaces. We can't just hand over our children to a space that doesn't belong to us. And I think that is what we are passionate about. And I think that is what we are doing at the moment, is that we are working hard to build best practice at every phase in the learning journey. And once we have done that, inshallah ta'ala, and we are on the journey towards that, then there is a definite need to expand, because we have a great concern about the youth and what the youth are going through, even whether it's at the public schools or even the private schools. I think there's our heart burns because we understand, and we're involved in youth work. We understand the loss of identity. We understand the toxic social environment. And for us, it is heartbreaking to see a young person lose themselves, lose their Islam, lose their character, lose their direction in life at such an early age. And alhamdulillah, we have found that our program so far has been successful in the sense that we have seen healthy learners emerge. Learners who are just different, who love learning, who love their teachers, who love to remember Allah, who have supportive homes. And so I think we are definitely looking for development partners to help us build something big, inshallah ta'ala, and then expand from there, inshallah. So I think that is what our appeal is to the public, not for our sakes, but for the sake of the future generation who is going to take over the banner of Islam. And we have to hear those leaders, because leaders are built. Leaders are developed. We can't just wish for them and wait for the next Mahdi to come. We have to build the leaders of the future. And we are calling on the community to be a part of that development, inshallah.
How can individuals, corporates, or possibly communities from abroad that wants to reach out to GoodTree to find out, how they can be part of this beautiful structure? Mualima, any contact details that you can share with us?
So we can share our website details, which is GoodTree.co.za, yes. And I think all of our details would be on our website. So GoodTree.co.za will lead you to the email portals and the administrative numbers as well. So Bismillah, please make contact with us and feel free to reach out to us to even book a meeting. We'll have to engage with all types of individuals, inshallah, who would possibly assist us in any way.
MashaAllah, it's been a pleasure chatting to both founders of GoodTree Quranic School. We conclude this enlightening discussion. We extend our sincere gratitude to Maulana Khalil Hendricks, as well as Mualima Radia Bawa, for sharing their invaluable insights and experiences with us today. We really appreciate the time, and we hope that this idea, this GoodTree, doesn't just start here in Cape Town, but fosters beyond South Africa and countries abroad, wherever there are little Muslim minds that needs to be grown in a way within Quran and Sunnah. So we appreciate their dedication to fostering Quran and Sunnah within this realm of education. It is truly commendable and serves as an inspiration to us all. Jazakallah, shukran so much for your time, and let's chat again in a year's time when the school expands to see where you are, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye.
So
Jazakallah once again, shukran to Maulana Khalil as well as Mualima Radia. We wish GoodTree Quranic School continued success in their future endeavors in nurturing young minds and strengthening communities through their knowledge and faith. Join us again for more thought-provoking conversations on education, spirituality, and positive change. And especially in our next show, we speak to Adila Osman, specialist wellness counselor, mental health advocate, and postnatal depression specialist, who guides us on mindful wellness in nurturing resilience and community. Until then, may the peace and blessings be upon you all. Wassalamu alaikum and goodbye.